Your brain cannot tell the difference between a memory and an imagination. Read that again. Neuroscience has proven that when you vividly imagine an experience, the same neural pathways light up as if you're actually living it. This isn't philosophy, it's biology, which means right now, in this very moment, you are programming your nervous system for either scarcity or abundance, and you don't even realize you're holding the remote control. I'm about to hand you one sentence. Not a wish, not a hope, but a biological command that will rewire your subconscious mind in less than 90 seconds a day. And the results? They don't show up in weeks. They show up in hours. Now, I know that sounds impossible to you. I know it sounds like I'm making a promise I can't keep, but stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you isn't based on wishful thinking or positive psychology or any of the surface level advice you've been fed your entire life. This is based on a fundamental truth about how your mind works, how reality is constructed, and why most people spend their entire lives struggling financially, even though they work hard, even though they're intelligent, even though they deserve better. You've been taught that wealth comes from external action. Work harder, network better, learn more skills, get another degree, start a side hustle. And listen, I'm not against any of those things, but here's what nobody tells you. All of that external effort is completely powerless if your internal conversation is working against you. You can hustle 18 hours a day, but if you wake up every morning, and the first thought that crosses your mind is, I'm so tired of being broke, or I'll never get ahead, or money is so hard to come by, then you are programming your subconscious mind to create more of exactly what you don't want. And I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, but Joseph, those thoughts are just realistic. I'm just acknowledging my current situation. I'm just being honest about where I am. And that's exactly the trap. That's exactly where most people lose the game before they even start playing. Because you think you're being realistic, but what you're actually doing is rehearsing your poverty. You're repeating it. You're affirming it. You're impressing it deeper and deeper into your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind, bless it, doesn't judge, doesn't question, doesn't argue. It simply accepts what you tell it, and then goes to work making it true. Your subconscious mind is the most powerful force in your life, and most people don't even know it exists. They think they're running the show with their conscious mind, their willpower, their logic, their decision-making. But the conscious mind is just the tip of the iceberg. It's the part you can see above the water. The subconscious is the massive, invisible part beneath the surface. And that's what's actually steering the ship. That's what's actually creating your life. And here's the critical part. Your subconscious mind doesn't care about what you want. It doesn't care about your dreams or your goals or your hopes. It only cares about what you assume to be true. It only responds to what you repeatedly impress upon it, through your inner speech, through your habitual thoughts, through the story you tell yourself about who you are and what's possible for you. So if you've been walking around saying, I can't afford it, or that's not for people like me, or I'm just not good with money, then congratulations, you've been giving your subconscious mind very clear instructions, and it's been following them perfectly. It's been creating circumstances, attracting situations, and arranging events that match your inner assumptions. Not because the universe is punishing you, not because you're unlucky, but because that's how the law works. Assumption hardens into fact. Inner speech becomes outer reality. What you feel to be true on the inside must eventually manifest on the outside. This isn't mysticism. This is mechanics. Now, before I give you the affirmation that's going to change everything, I need you to understand why it works. Because if you don't understand the mechanism, you'll use it for a few days, you won't see immediate results, and you'll abandon it just like you've abandoned every other technique you've tried. And I don't want that for you. I don't want you to walk away from the one tool that could actually set you free. So let me explain this as simply as I can. Your subconscious mind operates on one principle: repetition. Whatever you repeat, you believe. Whatever you believe, you become. This is how you learned everything you know. You didn't learn to walk by trying once. You didn't learn your name by hearing it once. You didn't learn that fire is hot or water is wet by experiencing it once. You learned through repetition until the knowing became automatic, unconscious, unquestionable. You learned through repetition until it became your truth. And here's the part that most people miss. You are still learning through repetition right now, every single day. But what are you repeating? What are you rehearsing? If you're like most people, you're rehearsing lack. You're rehearsing limitation. You're rehearsing doubt. Not because you're a negative person, not because you're ungrateful, but because you've been conditioned to focus on what's missing, what's wrong, what's not working. You check your bank account and you rehearse poverty. You think about your bills and you rehearse anxiety. You look at someone else's success and you rehearse inadequacy. And every time you do this, every single time, you are impressing a new layer of lack onto your subconscious mind. You are strengthening the neural pathways of scarcity. You are literally rewiring your brain to expect and create more of what you don't want. But here's the beautiful part, the part that should give you hope right now. If your brain can be wired for poverty, it can be rewired for wealth. If your subconscious can be programmed for limitation, it can be reprogrammed for abundance. And the tool for doing this is so simple, so accessible, so available to you right now that you're going to be angry you didn't know about it sooner. The tool is a single sentence, a miracle affirmation, a biological command that, when repeated with feeling and persistence, will literally change the structure of your brain and the trajectory of your life. But before I give it to you, let me tell you about a man I once knew. I won't use his real name, but I'll call him David. David lost everything. I mean everything. His business collapsed. His marriage fell apart. His savings evaporated. He went from living in a comfortable home, with a thriving career, to sleeping on a friend's couch with $12 in his pocket, and everyone around him, his family, his former colleagues, his own inner critic, they all said the same thing. He's finished. He had his chance and he blew it. He'll never recover. And for the first few weeks, David believed them. He looked at his circumstances and he thought, this is reality. This is what I am now. A failure. A has-been. A cautionary tale. He would lie awake at night replaying every mistake, every missed opportunity, every wrong turn. He was rehearsing his defeat over and over and over again, and with every rehearsal, he felt himself sinking deeper into despair. But then something shifted. I don't know if it was desperation or grace or some combination of the two, but David remembered something he'd heard years earlier. He remembered that his current circumstances were not his reality, they were just the echo of his past thinking. They were the hardened facts of yesterday's assumptions. And if he wanted a different future, he needed to start impressing different assumptions onto his subconscious mind right now, today. Regardless of what his bank account said, regardless of what his situation looked like. So David made a decision. Every morning, before the sun came up, before the world could tell him who he was, he would sit in the silence of that borrowed room and he would speak one sentence out loud. Just one sentence. He didn't complicate it. He didn't make a whole speech. He just repeated this one simple declaration. I am wealthy, powerful, and free. That's it. I am wealthy, powerful, and free. Now, the first time he said it, it felt like a lie. Because he wasn't wealthy, he was broke. He wasn't powerful, he felt defeated. He wasn't free, he was trapped. But he said it anyway. Not as a wish. Not as a hope. Not as a someday maybe. He said it as a fact. He said it with the same certainty that he would say, I am a man, or I am breathing. And then he said it again, and again, 10 times every morning, 10 times every night. I am wealthy, powerful, and free. And here's what happened. For the first week, nothing changed. His circumstances stayed the same. His bank account stayed the same. But something inside him started to shift. The desperation started to lift. The panic started to ease. He noticed that when he looked at his situation, it didn't feel quite as heavy. It didn't feel quite as permanent. Because he was no longer identifying with it. He was no longer calling it his reality. He was calling something else his reality. I am wealthy, powerful, and free. By the second week, something strange started happening. He got a phone call from an old client. Someone he hadn't heard from in over a year. They had a project. They needed help. They wanted to hire him. Was it a miracle? Was it coincidence? Or was it the inevitable result of a changed inner conversation? David didn't analyze it. He just said yes. And he kept repeating his affirmation. By the third week, another door opened. A door that shouldn't have been open. A door that made no logical sense. But it was open anyway. And then another, and another. Within 6 months, David had not only recovered, he had exceeded everything he'd lost. He rebuilt his business. He restored his confidence. He created a life that was better, richer, more fulfilling than anything he'd had before. Now, was it the affirmation? Was it just his actions? Here's what I want you to understand. It was both. The affirmation changed his inner state, and his inner state changed his outer actions. He stopped moving through the world like a defeated man. He stopped speaking like a victim. He stopped seeing himself as someone who had lost, and started seeing himself as someone who was in the process of winning. And that shift in identity, that shift in assumption, that changed everything. Because your outer world doesn't respond to your wishes, it responds to your assumptions. It responds to who you believe yourself to be. And this brings me to the woman I want to tell you about next. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah had everything on paper. Good education, solid job, nice family. But she was always broke, always stressed about money, always one emergency away from disaster. And she couldn't understand why. She would look at other people who seemed less qualified, less hardworking, less deserving, and they had money, they had ease, they had flow. And she would think, what am I doing wrong? Why is money so hard for me? So one day she came to me, and within 5 minutes of listening to her talk, I knew exactly what the problem was. She was arguing for her limitations. Every sentence out of her mouth was a defense of her lack. I've never been good with money. My family was always poor. I don't have the right connections. I'm not lucky like other people. On and on and on. She had built an entire identity around being someone for whom money was difficult, and her subconscious mind, being the faithful servant that it is, was simply creating circumstances that matched that identity. I looked at her and I said, Sarah, you're not describing reality, you're creating it. Every time you say, I've never been good with money, you are giving your subconscious mind a command. You are telling it, make sure I continue to not be good with money, and it obeys. It always obeys. She didn't like hearing that. Nobody does. Because it means taking responsibility. It means admitting that you're not a victim of circumstances, you're the creator of them. But to her credit, Sarah was willing to try something different. I gave her an experiment. For 30 days, I told her, stop speaking your lack. Stop defending your limitations. Stop arguing for your poverty. And instead repeat one sentence as if it's already true. I am wealthy, powerful, and free. Say it in the morning. Say it at night. And every time you catch yourself about to say something negative about money, stop and replace it with this affirmation. She agreed, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. She thought it was silly. She thought it was too simple. She thought, how is saying a sentence going to pay my bills? But she committed to the 30 days anyway. Day 12, she got a check in the mail. A tax refund she'd completely forgotten about. Not a fortune, but enough to ease the immediate pressure. She called me and said, is this because of the affirmation? I said, maybe. Or maybe you've always been entitled to that refund. But your subconscious mind didn't allow you to receive it until you changed your inner conversation. Keep going. Day 18. A freelance opportunity landed in her inbox. Someone she'd worked with years ago, someone she hadn't thought about in forever, reached out with a project. Good pay. Interesting work. She didn't apply for it. She didn't network for it. It just showed up. She took it. And she kept repeating her affirmation. Day 28, her boss called her into his office. She thought she was in trouble. Instead, he offered her a promotion. A role she didn't even know was available. More responsibility, yes, but also more money. Significantly more money. She walked out of that office in a daze and called me that evening in tears. Joseph, she said, it's like the world was just waiting for me to stop arguing. And that's exactly what it was. The world wasn't withholding anything from her. She was withholding it from herself. Through her words. Through her beliefs. Through her identity. The moment she changed the inner conversation, the outer world had no choice but to rearrange itself to match. This is the law. This is how it works. And it works for everyone, every single time, without exception. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, Joseph, I hear you. But this sounds too easy. It sounds too good to be true. Are you telling me that all I have to do is repeat a sentence and money will just show up? And the answer is yes and no. Let me explain what I mean by that. The affirmation is not magic. It's not a spell. It's not about tricking the universe into giving you something you don't deserve. The affirmation is a tool for reprogramming your subconscious mind. It's a tool for changing your identity. It's a tool for shifting your assumption about who you are and what's possible for you. And when that inner shift happens, when you genuinely start to see yourself as someone who is wealthy, powerful, and free, your behavior changes. Your decisions change. Your energy changes. You start to notice opportunities you would have missed before. You start to take actions you would have avoided before. You start to speak and move and think like someone who already has what you want. And that alignment between your inner state and your outer actions, that's what creates the so-called miracles. But here's the part most people don't understand. The subconscious mind doesn't care about your outer circumstances. It doesn't care that your bank account is currently at zero. It doesn't care that you have debt. It doesn't care that you failed before. All it cares about is what you're impressing upon it right now in this moment, through your habitual thinking and feeling. And if you can impress upon it the feeling of already being wealthy, if you can saturate it with the assumption of already having everything you need, then it will move heaven and earth to make that assumption a fact. Not because it's mystical, because that's its job. The subconscious mind's job is to align your outer reality with your inner assumptions. It's always doing this. The question is, what are you assuming? Most people are assuming lack. They're assuming limitation. They're assuming that life is hard, that money is scarce, that success is for other people. And so their subconscious mind faithfully creates more lack, more limitation, more scarcity. But you can assume the opposite. You can assume abundance. You can assume ease. You can assume that you are the kind of person for whom money flows effortlessly. And when you do that, when you persist in that assumption despite what your current circumstances look like, your subconscious mind will begin to create evidence to support it. This is why affirmations fail for most people. They say the words, but they don't change the assumption. They say, I am wealthy, while still feeling poor. They say, money comes easily to me, while still panicking about bills. They're speaking one thing but assuming another. And the subconscious mind doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your feeling, to your dominant emotional state, to what you genuinely believe to be true underneath all the surface chatter. So when I give you this affirmation, it's not enough to just repeat the words. You have to feel them. You have to embody them. You have to practice the feeling of already being the person who has what you want. And I know that sounds abstract. So let me make it very practical for you. When you say, I am wealthy, don't just say the words. Close your eyes and imagine what wealth feels like in your body. Does it feel like relief? Like ease? Like a deep exhale? Does it feel like freedom? Like space? Like possibility? Find that feeling. Even if it's just a flicker, even if it's just for a moment, find the feeling and hold it while you speak the words, because that feeling is the signal to your subconscious mind that you're serious, that this isn't just wishful thinking, that this is your new identity. And here's something else I want you to understand. You don't have to feel it perfectly. You don't have to feel it 100%. You just have to feel it more than you feel the doubt. That's all. Just a little bit more belief than disbelief. Just a little bit more faith than fear. Because your subconscious mind works on a tipping point. Once the belief outweighs the doubt, once the new assumption becomes stronger than the old one, the shift happens. And it can happen fast. Faster than you think. I've seen people's lives change in 30 days. I've seen financial miracles happen in weeks. I've seen people go from complete despair to complete breakthrough in a matter of days. Not because they got lucky, not because they won the lottery, but because they stopped rehearsing their poverty and started rehearsing their wealth. They stopped identifying with their lack and started identifying with their abundance. They stopped arguing for their limitations and started assuming their power. And this is what I want for you. This is why I'm here, talking to you right now. Because I know that you're capable of so much more than you've been experiencing. I know that you have gifts, talents, and potential that haven't even been tapped yet. I know that you've been living beneath your possibilities, not because there's anything wrong with you, but because you've been programmed with the wrong beliefs, the wrong assumptions, the wrong inner conversation. But that ends today. Today, you take back control of your inner speech. Today, you stop being a passive victim of your thoughts and start being the conscious creator of them. Today, you learn the one sentence that can reprogram your entire reality. Are you ready? Because I'm about to give it to you. And once I do, you have a choice. You can dismiss it as too simple, too easy, too good to be true. Or you can take it seriously. You can commit to it. You can use it every single day for the next 30 days and see what happens. I already know what's going to happen. You're going to be amazed. But you have to do the work. You have to speak the words. You have to persist even when nothing seems to be changing. Here it is. The miracle affirmation for wealth and power. Are you ready? Write this down, memorize it, let it become part of your being. I am wealth. I am power. I am free. Money flows to me effortlessly, and I use it wisely, joyfully, and generously. I am the operant power in my world. Read it again. Slowly this time. Let each word land. I am wealth. I am power. I am free. Money flows to me effortlessly, and I use it wisely, joyfully, and generously. I am the operant power in my world. Now, let me break down why this affirmation is so powerful, why it's structured the way it is, and why it works when other affirmations fail. First, I am wealth. Not, I have wealth. Not, I will be wealthy. I am wealth. This is an identity statement. You're not trying to get something outside of yourself. You're claiming it as your very nature. You are wealth itself. Wealth is not separate from you. It's not something you chase or acquire. It's what you are. When you shift from, I want wealth, to I am wealth, you shift from lack consciousness to abundance consciousness. You stop being a beggar and start being a king. And your subconscious mind responds to that identity shift immediately. Second, I am power. Again, identity. You're not saying I want to be powerful, or I hope to have power someday. You're declaring it as present tense fact. You are power. You are the creative force in your life. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are not at the mercy of the economy, your boss, your background, or your past. You are the operant power. You decide, you choose, you create, And when you claim that power, when you own it fully, your entire life begins to shift because you stop waiting for permission and start taking command. Third, I am free. This one is subtle, but critical. Because wealth without freedom is just slavery with nicer chains. And power without freedom is just control and stress. Freedom is the feeling you're really after. The feeling of spaciousness. The feeling of choice. The feeling of not being trapped, not being limited, not being stuck. When you affirm, I am free, you're telling your subconscious mind that you're not bound by your current circumstances, by other people's opinions, by society's limitations. You are free. And that freedom is what allows the wealth and power to flow naturally. Fourth, money flows to me effortlessly. This is important because most people have been taught that money is hard to come by, that you have to struggle and sacrifice and hustle and grind. And yes, you have to take action. But the action should feel like flow, not force. When you affirm that money flows to you effortlessly, you're reprogramming the belief that it has to be hard. You're opening yourself to receiving money from expected and unexpected sources. You're telling your subconscious mind, I am a magnet for wealth. It comes to me easily, naturally, joyfully. Fifth, and I use it wisely, joyfully, and generously. This part is crucial because it removes any subconscious guilt or fear around having money. A lot of people unconsciously sabotage their wealth because, deep down, they believe that money is bad, that rich people are greedy, that having more means someone else has less. But when you affirm that you use money wisely, joyfully, and generously, you're telling your subconscious mind that you're a good steward of wealth. You're not hoarding it. You're not misusing it. You're circulating it. You're enjoying it. You're blessing others with it. This removes the blocks and allows the flow to continue. And finally, I am the operant power in my world. This is the capstone. This is the statement that puts you in the driver's seat. You're not hoping the universe will be nice to you. You're not praying for luck. You're not waiting for someone to save you. You are the operant power. You are the one who decides. You are the one who commands. This is not arrogance. This is truth. You are the creator of your experience. And when you fully own that, when you fully claim that, everything changes. So there it is. The affirmation in full. I am wealth. I am power. I am free. Money flows to me effortlessly, and I use it wisely, joyfully, and generously. I am the operant power in my world. Now, here's how you use it. And this part is just as important as the words themselves, because if you use this affirmation the wrong way, it won't work. If you say it a couple times, and then check your bank account to see if anything changed, you've already failed. If you say it while doubting, while feeling desperate, while being attached to immediate results, you are undermining your own efforts. So here's the protocol. Here's exactly what you need to do. Every morning, before you do anything else, before you check your phone, before you turn on the news, before you let the world tell you who you are, sit in silence for 5 minutes. You can sit on the edge of your bed. You can sit in a chair. It doesn't matter. Just sit somewhere quiet, where you won't be interrupted. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Let your body relax. And then, slowly, with feeling, speak the affirmation out loud. Say it 10 times. Don't rush. Don't perform. Just speak it, like you're stating a simple fact. I am wealth. I am power. I am free. Money flows to me effortlessly, and I use it wisely, joyfully, and generously. I am the operant power in my world. As you say it, feel it. Feel the relief. Feel the certainty. Feel what it would feel like if this were already completely true. You're not trying to convince yourself. You're not trying to manifest. You're simply claiming what's already yours. You're speaking your truth. You're declaring your identity. Do this every morning. No exceptions. Even if you're tired. Even if you're busy. even if you don't feel like it. Especially if you don't feel like it. Because the mornings when you least want to do it are the mornings when your old programming is trying to reassert itself, and you have to overrule it. You have to show your subconscious mind who's in charge. Then, throughout your day, pay attention to your inner speech. This is where most people lose the battle. They do their morning affirmation, and then they spend the rest of the day complaining about money, worrying about bills, comparing themselves to others, saying things like, "I can't afford that," or "I'm so broke," or "Money is so tight right now." And every time they do that, they're erasing the work they did in the morning. They're re-impressing the old pattern. So your job throughout the day is to guard your inner speech. Every time you catch yourself about to say something negative about money, stop. Just stop. Don't shame yourself. Don't get frustrated. Just gently, kindly, replace it with your affirmation. I am wealth. I am power. I am free. You don't have to say the whole thing. Just that first line is enough. Redirect your mind. Reclaim your focus. Over and over and over again. And here's something beautiful that will start to happen. The more you do this, the more you'll notice how often you were speaking lack. You'll be shocked. You'll catch yourself 10, 20, 50 times a day about to affirm poverty. And each time you catch it, each time you replace it, you're weakening the old neural pathway and strengthening the new one. You're literally rewiring your brain. This is neuroplasticity in action. You're not trying to be positive. You're not ignoring reality. You're choosing which reality you want to feed. Then, at night, before you go to sleep, repeat the affirmation again, 10 times. Slowly. With feeling. This is important because the moments right before sleep are when your subconscious mind is most receptive. It's in a relaxed, open state. It's ready to receive. So the last words you speak to yourself before you drift off should be words of wealth, power, and freedom. Not words of worry. Not a mental review of everything that went wrong. Not anxiety about tomorrow. Just the affirmation. Let it be the last thing your subconscious mind hears before you sleep. Let it marinate overnight. Let it do its work while you rest. And here's an advanced technique that will amplify everything. After you say your affirmation at night, spend a few minutes mentally replaying your day, but as if you were already wealthy. This is called revision. You're not lying to yourself. You're not pretending. You're revising the emotional tone of your day from lack to abundance. Did you feel stress when you checked your bank account today? Revise it. See yourself checking your account and feeling calm, abundant, satisfied. Did you feel envy when you saw someone else's success? Revise it. See yourself feeling happy for them, knowing that their success has nothing to do with your lack, that there's more than enough for everyone. Did you feel powerless in a situation? Revise it. See yourself handling it with confidence, ease, and authority. This revision practice is incredibly powerful because it trains your subconscious mind to expect abundance instead of scarcity, to expect power instead of helplessness, to expect freedom instead of limitation. You're not changing the past. You're changing your relationship to the past. And in doing so, you're changing your future. Now, I need to prepare you for something. I need to prepare you for the moment when doubt creeps in. Because it will. I promise you, it will. You'll do this practice for 3 days, 5 days, maybe a week, and you'll look around and nothing will have changed. Your bank account will look the same. Your bills will still be there. Your circumstances will appear unchanged. And a voice in your head will say, "See, this doesn't work. This is stupid. You're wasting your time." And in that moment you have a choice. You can listen to that voice and quit just like you've quit everything else that might have actually helped you, or you can recognize that voice for what it is. The old program trying to survive. That voice is not the truth. It's not your intuition. It's not wisdom. It's fear. It's the ego. It's the part of you that has been running the show for years and doesn't want to give up control. When that voice shows up, don't fight it. Don't argue with it. Just smile at it and return to your affirmation. I am wealth. I am power. I am free. Over and over and over. You're not trying to convince the doubt. You're outlasting it. You're drowning it out with repetition. And I promise you, if you persist, the doubt will exhaust itself. It has to. Because doubt is just a thought pattern, and thought patterns can be changed. But you have to be willing to persist without evidence. This is where most people fail. They need proof before they believe. They need to see results before they commit. But that's backwards. The belief comes first. The assumption comes first. The inner change comes first. And then the outer world catches up, not the other way around. Think of it like this. If you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You trust the process. You water it. You give it Sunday. You let it be. And in time, the sprout appears, then the stem, then the leaves, then the flower. But if you keep digging it up to check on it, you'll kill it before it ever has a chance to grow. Your affirmation is a seed. You're planting it in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. Your job is to water it with repetition, to give it the sun of your faith, and to leave it alone. Stop checking. Stop analyzing. Stop looking for proof. Just persist, and the results will come. They always do. I want to tell you about one more person. Let's call him Michael. Michael was a skeptic. He didn't believe in affirmations. He didn't believe in the power of the mind. He thought all of this was nonsense, but he was also desperate. He'd been stuck in the same financial situation for 10 years. Working hard, making decent money, but somehow never getting ahead. Always stressed. Always worried. Always feeling like he was one step away from disaster. A friend of his told him about this affirmation. Michael rolled his eyes. He thought it was ridiculous. But his friend challenged him. Just try it for 30 days. What do you have to lose? So Michael agreed, mostly to prove his friend wrong. For the first week, he felt like an idiot. He would say the words and feel nothing. It felt fake. It felt forced. He kept thinking, this is such a waste of time. But he kept his commitment. He said it every morning. He said it every night. By the second week, something strange happened. He didn't feel wealthy yet, but he noticed he felt less stressed, less anxious, like some invisible weight had been lifted just a little bit. He didn't think much of it. He figured it was just a placebo effect. By the third week, opportunities started showing up. Small things at first. A client who paid early, a project that came in under budget, a friend who paid back a loan Michael had forgotten about. Michael still didn't connect it to the affirmation. He just thought, lucky week. But then, in week 4, something big happened. Michael got offered a partnership opportunity, something he would have never considered before, because he didn't think he was qualified, didn't think he had the resources, didn't think he was ready. But for some reason, and he couldn't explain why, he said yes. He felt a confidence he'd never felt before, a certainty. And that opportunity changed everything. Within 6 months, Michael had doubled his income. Within a year, he'd tripled it. And when he looked back at his journal from those first few weeks of doing the affirmation, when he was feeling like an idiot and doubting the whole thing, he realized something profound. The change had already started then. It just wasn't visible yet. The inner shift had happened first, in those quiet moments when he was repeating words he didn't fully believe. And then the outer world slowly, inevitably rearranged itself to match. Michael became a believer. Not because he's gullible, but because he experienced the proof in his own life. And now he teaches this to everyone he meets. Because once you see how it works, once you experience it for yourself, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to living like a victim. You can't go back to believing that you're at the mercy of circumstances. So here's what I want you to understand. This affirmation is not about positive thinking. It's not about pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about recognizing a deeper truth that exists beneath your circumstances. Your circumstances are temporary. They're fluid. They're the result of past thinking, past assumptions, past beliefs, but they're not permanent, they're not fixed, and they're certainly not more powerful than your mind. When you say, "I am wealth," you're not denying that your bank account is low. You're denying that your bank account has the final say over who you are and what you can become. You're asserting a higher truth. You're claiming your identity not from your current conditions, but from the infinite potential that exists within you. And that's not delusional. That's the most realistic thing you could possibly do. Because here's what's actually delusional. Believing that your current circumstances are permanent. Believing that because you've struggled in the past, you must struggle in the future. Believing that because you don't have money now, you will never have money. That's the real delusion. That's the lie. And it's a lie that most people live in their entire lives. But you're not most people. If you were, you wouldn't be here right now, listening to this. You're here because some part of you knows there's more. Some part of you knows you're capable of more, worthy of more, destined for more, and that part of you, that's the truth. That's the real you. The you that exists beyond your circumstances, the you that is wealth, power, and freedom, regardless of what your current situation looks like. And I need you to connect with that part of yourself every single day. That's what this affirmation is for. It's not to trick you into feeling good temporarily. It's to anchor you in the truth of who you really are, so that you can stop living from your circumstances and start living from your potential. Now, let me talk about a principle that very few people understand, but once you get this, everything becomes easier. It's called the principle of assumption versus observation. Most people live their entire lives in observation mode. They observe their circumstances, and then they form their beliefs based on what they see. They look at their bank account and conclude, "I'm poor." They look at their job and conclude, "I'm stuck." They look at other people's success and conclude, "That's not for me." They're constantly taking their cues from the outside world, letting external conditions dictate their internal state. But here's the problem with that. The external world is always reflecting back to you your past assumptions. It's always showing you yesterday's beliefs. So, if you keep observing your circumstances and forming your beliefs based on those observations, you're trapped in an endless loop. You're creating the same life over and over again because you're basing your present beliefs on past results. The way out of this loop is to stop observing and start assuming. Instead of looking at your current reality and letting it tell you who you are, you decide who you are, and then you let reality catch up. You assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled before you see any evidence. You claim your wealth before it shows up in your bank account. You own your power before circumstances validate it. You live from freedom before you're actually free. And I know this sounds backwards. I know it sounds irresponsible. I know it sounds like you're ignoring reality. But you're not ignoring reality, you're choosing which reality to feed. Because there are two realities operating at all times. The reality of your current circumstances, and the reality of your potential. Most people feed the first one. They give it all their attention, all their focus, all their emotional energy, and so that's the reality that grows. But when you start feeding the second reality, the reality of your potential, the reality of your higher self, the reality of who you're becoming, that's the reality that begins to solidify. That's the reality that begins to manifest. Not because you're manifesting it out of thin air, but because you're aligning yourself with it. You're matching its frequency. You're becoming the person who would naturally attract and create those circumstances. This is the law of assumption. And it's the most powerful law there is. Because it puts you in control. It makes you the creator instead of the victim. It says, you don't have to wait for your circumstances to change before you can feel wealthy. You can feel wealthy right now, regardless of your circumstances. And when you genuinely feel it, when you persist in that feeling, your circumstances will have no choice but to change to match. But, and this is critical, you can't fake the feeling. You can't just say the words while your stomach is in knots with anxiety. You can't affirm abundance while feeling desperate. Your subconscious mind doesn't respond to the words. It responds to the emotional state beneath the words. So when you do this affirmation, your job is to find the feeling, even if it's just a flicker, even if it's just for a second. Find the feeling of relief, of ease, of satisfaction, of knowing that everything is taken care of. Find that feeling and hold it for as long as you can while you speak the words. And if you can't find the feeling at first, that's okay. Just start with the words. Repeat them anyway, because repetition creates feeling. The more you say it, the more familiar it becomes. The more familiar it becomes, the more believable it becomes. And the more believable it becomes, the more you'll start to actually feel it. It's a gradual process. But it works. I've seen it work thousands of times. Let me give you a practical example of how this shows up in daily life. Let's say you're at the grocery store and you're about to buy something, and you catch yourself thinking, I can't afford this. Stop right there. That thought, I can't afford this, is an affirmation. You're affirming lack. You're impressing poverty onto your subconscious mind. And if you keep doing that, day after day, transaction after transaction, your subconscious mind is going to create more situations where you can't afford things. So instead, when that thought comes up, replace it. Even if you decide not to buy the item, replace the thought. Say to yourself, I am wealth. I choose not to buy this right now, but not because I can't afford it, because I'm being wise with my resources. Do you see the difference? In the first scenario, you're operating from lack. In the second, you're operating from abundance and wisdom. The external action might be the same, you don't buy the item, but the internal state is completely different, and it's the internal state that your subconscious mind is recording. Or let's say you're paying your bills, and you feel that familiar anxiety rising up. You look at the numbers and you think, this is so stressful, I hate dealing with money. Again, stop. That's an affirmation of stress and resistance. You're teaching your subconscious mind that money equals stress, which means it's going to be very reluctant to bring you more money, because why would it give you more of something that causes you stress? Instead, as you're paying your bills, say to yourself, I am grateful for the money that flows through me. I pay my bills with joy, knowing that more money is already on its way to me. I am wealth. Money flows to me effortlessly. Again, you're not denying the bills. You're not pretending they don't exist, but you're changing your relationship to them. You're changing the emotional tone. You're moving from resistance to flow, from stress to gratitude, from lack to abundance. These little moments throughout your day are where the real work happens. The morning affirmation sets the tone. The evening affirmation anchors it. But the maintenance work, the moment by moment redirecting of your thoughts, that's what creates the transformation. That's what reprograms the subconscious. That's what changes your life. And I want to be honest with you. This is not always easy. There will be days when you don't want to do it. There will be days when you feel ridiculous saying these words. There will be days when the doubt is so loud that you can barely hear your own affirmation. And on those days, you do it anyway. Especially on those days. Because those are the days when your old programming is fighting for its survival. Those are the days when the breakthrough is closest. You see, your ego, your old identity doesn't want to change. It's comfortable where it is, even if where it is painful. It knows the territory of lack. It knows the story of limitation. It's been living there for years, maybe decades. And now you're trying to evict it, trying to install a new identity, and it's going to resist. It's going to throw every doubt, every fear, every logical argument at you to make you stop. But here's what you need to remember. Resistance is a sign that you're getting close. Discomfort is a sign that change is happening. If this practice felt easy and comfortable from day one, it would mean nothing is shifting. The fact that it feels challenging, that it brings up doubt, that it requires discipline, that's proof that you're actually doing something powerful. You're disrupting patterns that have been in place for years. You're rewiring neural pathways that have been running on autopilot. That's not supposed to feel comfortable. That's supposed to feel like growth. And growth always involves some level of discomfort. So when the doubt shows up, when the resistance shows up, don't see it as a sign to quit. See it as a sign to persist. Double down. Say the affirmation with even more conviction. Remind yourself why you're doing this. Remind yourself of the life you're creating. Remind yourself that 30 days of discomfort is worth a lifetime of freedom. And speaking of 30 days, that's the minimum commitment I want you to make. 30 days of consistent practice. Not 30 days of doing it when you feel like it or when you remember. 30 days of non-negotiable, morning and night, no matter what. Mark it on your calendar. Set reminders on your phone. Do whatever you need to do to make it happen. Because 30 days is long enough for the new neural pathways to start solidifying, for the new assumptions to start taking root, for the evidence to start showing up in your life. But here's the secret that most people don't know. The magic doesn't happen in 30 days. The magic happens on day 3, or day 7, or day 12. The magic happens the moment you decide to persist despite the lack of evidence. That moment when you choose faith over sight, when you choose assumption over observation, that's when everything shifts. The external results might take a little longer to show up, but the internal shift happens immediately. And the internal shift is what matters. That's the real miracle. Now, I want to address something that I know some of you are thinking. You're thinking, Joseph, this sounds great for attracting money, but what about the power part? What does it mean to be power? How do I embody that? Great question, let me explain. When I say, I am power, I'm not talking about power over other people. I'm not talking about domination or control or manipulation. I'm talking about personal power, sovereignty, the ability to direct your own life, the confidence to make decisions without needing everyone's approval, the strength to set boundaries, to say no, to walk away from what doesn't serve you. Most people give their power away without even realizing it. They give it away to their boss by believing they have no other options. They give it away to their family by living according to expectations instead of their own truth. They give it away to society by following rules and beliefs they never questioned. They give it away to their circumstances by believing this is just how it is. But when you affirm, I am power, you're reclaiming all of that. You're saying, I am not at the mercy of external forces. I am not powerless. I am not a victim. I am the creative force in my life. I decide. I choose. I create. And when you embody that, when you really feel it, your entire energy changes. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for the right time. You stop looking for someone to save you. You save yourself. You give yourself permission. You decide the time is now, and people notice. They might not be able to articulate what's different about you, but they feel it. They sense the shift, and suddenly, opportunities that were never available to you before start opening up. Not because the world changed, but because you changed. You're no longer vibrating at the frequency of powerlessness. You're vibrating at the frequency of authority, of confidence, of self-possession, and the world responds to that frequency. This is why the affirmation includes all 3 elements: wealth, power, and freedom. Because they're interconnected. You can't have true wealth without power, because if you're powerless, someone will take your wealth away. You can't have true power without freedom, because if you're not free, your power is just another form of bondage. And you can't have true freedom without wealth, because in this world, money equals options, and options equal freedom. So when you affirm all 3 together, I am wealth, I am power, I am free, you're claiming the full package. You're not just asking to be rich, you're asking to be whole. You're asking to be complete. You're asking to be the highest version of yourself. And that's a prayer your subconscious mind can't refuse. Now, let's talk about the part of the affirmation that says, money flows to me effortlessly. I want to be very clear about what this means because I don't want you to misunderstand. Effortlessly doesn't mean you don't take action. It doesn't mean you sit on your couch all day repeating affirmations and expect checks to fall from the sky. That's not how this works. Effortlessly means you're not forcing. You're not straining. You're not pushing against resistance. You're in alignment. You're in flow. You're taking inspired action, not desperate action. There's a huge difference. Desperate action comes from lack. It comes from fear. It comes from, I have to make this work, or I'm screwed. And that energy, that desperation, actually repels money and opportunities. People can feel it. The universe can feel it. And it creates more of what you don't want. Inspired action comes from abundance. It comes from, I'm already wealthy, and I'm just following the guidance of my highest self. It's action that feels good, that feels right. That flows naturally from who you're becoming. And that energy, that alignment, attracts money and opportunities like a magnet. Because you're not grasping. You're not chasing. You're allowing. You're receiving. So when you say, money flows to me effortlessly, you're programming your subconscious mind to show you the effortless path. You're asking it to guide you toward opportunities that don't require struggle. You're opening yourself up to receiving from sources you never expected. Maybe it's a client who finds you without you having to market. Maybe it's an investment that pays off beautifully. Maybe it's an idea that lands in your mind and turns into a profitable business. Maybe it's a door that opens that you didn't even know existed. The how is not your job. Your job is the assumption. Your job is the feeling. Your job is to stay in the frequency of wealth and let your subconscious mind figure out the logistics. Because your subconscious mind is infinitely more intelligent than your conscious mind. It can see connections you can't see. It can arrange circumstances you couldn't arrange. It can create synchronicities that seem impossible. But it can only do this when you get out of the way and stop trying to control every detail. This is what I mean by, I'm the operant power in my world. You're the power, yes. But you're not the doer. You're the one who sets the intention, holds the assumption, maintains the feeling, and then you let the intelligence of your subconscious mind and the intelligence of the universe do the work. You become a co-creator. You're not passively waiting, but you're not desperately forcing either. You're in that sweet spot of inspired action and divine timing. And this brings me to the part about using money wisely, joyfully, and generously. This is so important, and it's something most people completely overlook. You can attract all the money in the world, but if you don't know how to use it well, it will slip through your fingers, or worse, it will make you miserable. When you affirm that you use money wisely, you're programming your subconscious mind to guide you toward good financial decisions. You're asking for the wisdom to invest well, to save appropriately, to spend on things that actually enhance your life. Not just wisdom from external sources, but internal wisdom. That gut feeling that says yes to the right opportunities and no to the wrong ones. When you affirm that you use money joyfully, you're healing any guilt or shame you might have around having or wanting money. A lot of people sabotage their wealth because subconsciously they believe that money is bad, that wanting money is greedy, that having money makes you a bad person. And as long as that belief is running in the background, you'll never allow yourself to have sustainable wealth. So when you say I use it joyfully, you're giving yourself permission to enjoy your wealth, to celebrate it, to let it enhance your life without apology. And when you affirm that you use money generously, you're activating the law of circulation. Money is energy. It needs to flow. It needs to move. When you hoard it, when you grip it too tightly, it stagnates. But when you let it flow, when you give, when you share, when you bless others with your abundance, it creates a current that brings even more back to you. Not because you're trying to manipulate the universe into giving you more, but because you're aligning yourself with the natural flow of abundance. Generosity is not about giving away money you can't afford to give. It's about giving from a place of overflow, from a place of, I have more than enough, and I want to share. And when you operate from that place, when you truly embody that consciousness, you'll never lack. Because the universe doesn't support hoarders. It supports channels. It supports people who let the wealth flow through them, not just to them. So that's the complete affirmation. Every word is intentional. Every phrase is designed to reprogram a specific belief, to heal a specific wound, to open a specific channel. And when you say it consistently, when you feel it deeply, when you embody it fully, your entire financial reality will transform. Not overnight, but inevitably. Because you're working with law. You're working with principle. You're working with the fundamental mechanics of how reality is created. Now, I know I've given you a lot of information. I know it might feel overwhelming. So let me simplify this for you. Let me give you the most practical, step-by-step process I can. Step 1. Every morning sit in silence for 5 minutes. Say the affirmation 10 times with feeling. That's it. Just 5 minutes. You can find 5 minutes. Step 2. Throughout your day, catch your negative money thoughts and replace them with the affirmation. You don't have to be perfect. Just start noticing. Start redirecting. Start training your mind to go toward abundance instead of lack. Step 3. Every night before bed, say the affirmation 10 times again. Then spend a few minutes revising your day as if you were already wealthy. Replay moments with a feeling of abundance instead of lack. Step 4. Do this for 30 days straight. No skipping. No excuses. 30 days. Step 5. After 30 days, evaluate. Look at your life. Look at your circumstances. Look at your inner state. I guarantee you something will have shifted. Maybe something external. Maybe something internal. But something will be different. And if you're honest with yourself, you'll know this is working. That's the process. It's simple. Not easy, but simple. And simplicity is what makes it sustainable. You don't need complicated rituals. You don't need expensive courses. You don't need a guru to hold your hand. You just need this affirmation, your commitment, and your willingness to persist even when you don't see immediate results. And here's something I want you to remember when you're in the middle of this practice, and you're wondering if it's working. The subconscious mind always accepts the last impression, not the strongest impression, the last impression. Which means even if you've been affirming wealth for 29 days, if on day 30 you give up and say, "This doesn't work, I'm still broke," you've just impressed lack onto your subconscious mind and you're starting over. This is why persistence is everything. This is why you can't judge your progress based on your current circumstances. You have to trust the process. You have to have faith in the law. You have to keep going especially when nothing seems to be changing. Because the change is happening in the invisible realm first. It's happening in your subconscious mind, in your energy field, in the quantum field of possibility. And once it solidifies there, it must manifest in the physical world. It's law. It's inevitable. But only if you don't quit. I've seen so many people get to day 28 and give up because they haven't seen results yet. And it breaks my heart because they were so close. They were right there. The dam was about to break. The breakthrough was about to happen. But they quit 2 days early. Don't be that person. Don't let doubt steal your miracle. Persist. 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 And when the miracle does happen, because it will, don't be surprised. Don't question it. Don't wonder if you deserve it. Just receive it with gratitude. Say thank you. Acknowledge that your subconscious mind did exactly what you asked it to do. Celebrate the win. And then keep going. Because the affirmation doesn't stop working after one manifestation. It keeps working as long as you keep using it. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The stronger it gets, the faster the results come. Until eventually, wealth and power and freedom become your default state. They become who you are, not something you have to work to maintain. That's the goal. That's the vision. That's what I want for you. A life where abundance is your baseline, where you're not constantly worrying about money, constantly stressing about bills, constantly feeling like you're not enough. A life where you move through the world with confidence, with ease, with the quiet knowing that you are taken care of, that you are supported, that you are the operant power creating your reality. Is that too much to ask for? Is that too much to hope for? Absolutely not. In fact, it's your birthright. It's what you were designed for. You were not put on this earth to struggle. You were not put here to live small, to play it safe, to settle for less than you deserve. You were put here to thrive, to create, to express the fullness of who you are. And wealth, power, and freedom are simply tools that allow you to do that more effectively. So claim them, own them, stop apologizing for wanting them, stop feeling guilty for desiring them. They're not bad, they're not wrong, they're not selfish, they're necessary, and they're yours for the taking. All you have to do is assume they're already yours, and persist in that assumption until the world has no choice but to conform. That's the teaching. That's the secret. That's the miracle affirmation for wealth and power. And now you have it. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to treat it like every other piece of information you've consumed and forgotten? Or are you going to treat it like the life-changing tool it is and actually use it? I hope you choose the latter. I hope you choose to commit. I hope you choose to persist. Because I want to hear your success story. I want to know that this teaching landed in fertile soil and produced a harvest. I want to know that you broke free from the chains of lack and stepped into the abundance that was always meant for you. So let me close with this. I want to leave you with a final thought, a final truth, that I hope you'll carry with you long after this conversation ends. You are not broken. You never were. You've just been misled. You've been taught to believe in limitation when you were designed for expansion. You've been taught to identify with your circumstances when you were meant to identify with your potential. You've been taught that wealth and power are for other people, when the truth is, they've been inside you all along, waiting for you to claim them. Today is the day you stop waiting. Today is the day you stop hoping. Today is the day you stop asking for permission. Today is the day you declare, I am wealth. I am power. I am free. Money flows to me effortlessly, and I use it wisely, joyfully, and generously. I am the operant power in my world. Say it with me right now, out loud if you can. I am wealth. I am power. I am free. Say it again. I am wealth. I am power. I am free. One more time. I am wealth. I am power. I am free. How does that feel? Notice the shift, even if it's subtle. Notice the lift in your chest. Notice the straightening of your spine. Notice the quiet confidence that emerges when you speak truth. That feeling, hold on to it. Return to it. Build on it. Because that feeling is your compass. That feeling is your guide. That feeling is the frequency of your future. And if this message resonated with you, if something inside you shifted while you were listening, I want you to do something for me. I want you to leave a comment below and tell me what you're affirming starting today. Share your commitment with the community. Let's build a tribe of people who refuse to settle, who refuse to beg, who refuse to live small. Let's create a movement of conscious creators who understand that we are not victims of circumstance. We are architects of reality. And if you want more teachings like this, if you want me to keep guiding you back to your power, subscribe to this channel. Click that button, not because I need the numbers, but because you need the reminders. You need the reinforcement. You need someone in your corner reminding you of who you really are when the world tries to tell you otherwise. But I'm not here to convince you. I'm not here to beg for your attention. I'm here to offer you truth. Take it or leave it. Use it or ignore it. The choice is yours. But know this: 1 year from today, You will either look back at this moment as the turning point or as another missed opportunity. You'll either be living in the abundance you're affirming today, or you'll be stuck in the same patterns wondering what could have been. Which future do you want? Because I can't create it for you. I can only show you the door. You have to walk through it. You have to do the work. You have to speak the words. You have to persist through the doubt. You have to become the person you're claiming to be. So, go. Start today. Start right now. Close your eyes and say it one more time with everything you've got. I am wealth. I am power. I am free. Money flows to me effortlessly, and I use it wisely, joyfully, and generously. I am the operant power in my world. And then tomorrow morning say it again, and the next morning, and the next, until it's not an affirmation anymore, until it's just who you are, until the words and the reality are one and the same. That's my teaching. That's my gift to you. Use it well, honor it, protect it, and most importantly, embody it, because the world needs more people who know their worth, who own their power, who live in their abundance. The world needs you to step up, to claim what's yours, to stop playing small. So rise, speak, create, and watch as your entire world rearranges itself to match the truth of who you've always been. I am wealth. I am power. I am free. And so are you.